Hey guys, it's Jeremy Felt from Harvest Realty. Hope you're having a great day. Today's video, we are talking about the exclusive right to sell for residential. Again, you may be selling land, commercial property. There's some other forms in there that are similar to this, but today we're just focusing on the exclusive right to sell for a residential property. The first thing, a lot like the exclusive right to buy, is you want to figure out what is the relationship that you're going to have. So let's say you're listing your property with someone, and then a buyer comes along that's also working with that same representative, that same agent or broker. Well, they can't be an agent for both sides. So in that situation, what's going to happen? Are they going to act as a transaction broker, which is basically a referee? They're not choosing one side or over the other. They're just acting neutrally and just calling the game or calling the contract as they see it. They're just presenting the information, but they're not favoring one side over the other. That's a transaction broker. An agent is more like a coach. And I think if you have a relationship with whoever's representing you, probably want to keep them as an agent, in my opinion, because if they've been in the house, they've walked through, you've signed all the forms, they've been working with you for days, weeks, or months, there's a relationship there. Can they even step back and act neutrally? Is it going to be possible to do? So that's a conversation that you want to have early on in the process. What is the relationship going to look like as you move forward? The duties of the broker. So this is broker and agent are going to do all of these things. So it's not like a transaction broker doesn't do anything and that they're just disclosing information that they're not supposed to. There's still confidentiality, there's still record keeping, there's different things that they and the agent do, but there's some additional duties that the agent has that the broker does not, and we'll discuss those. So duties of both broker and agent: skill and care, present all offers in a timely manner. So if someone writes an offer, sends it over, hopefully you're seeing that same day, not waiting a week to present the offer. By then, the offer may have expired anyways. So a timely manner, disclosing any defects of the property. So that's one thing as a seller you need to be aware of, is you can't, and your agent or broker cannot hide any defects that you're aware of. So if you say there was a leak in the roof, but we painted over the stain, or we got it taken care of, or we don't want anyone to know that, or there's termites in the crawl space or something, but let's hopefully no one gets down there. Let's not tell anyone. Shh, it's our little secret. We cannot do that because both parties, the seller and the listing agent or broker, are going to end up getting sued, and it's bad for everyone. So come right out with everything. It may feel like, but it's going to hurt us, but it's really obviously the best practice in the long run. So we need to disclose everything that we know about the property. We're going to advise to seek professional counsel, an attorney, CPA, anything beyond our purview. We need to send them to the experts. Again, if there's engineering issues, talk to an engineer. Don't talk to your realtor and say, oh, well, they probably know what they're talking about. No, that's where everyone gets in trouble. The broker and agent are going to keep good accounting, communicating between all parties, keeping confidentiality, and not revealing price, terms, and motivation. As a seller, we don't want any buyers or any buyers' representatives to know why we're selling. Okay, it could be that we're just putting it on the market and seeing if we get a really good offer, then we'll obviously take it. It could be that we have a job starting out of state in 2 months and we got to sell this thing quick. Well, those are two different scenarios, and if a buyer ends up getting wind of that, they're going to now use that against us. So we don't want to reveal any price. Oh yeah, they would take less than asking price, just bring in offers. No, we don't want to do that. Terms, okay, what are their terms? Okay, well, we don't want to disclose that. What's the motivation in something? We don't want to disclose any of those things because that's going to hurt our seller. We don't want to stigmatize the property, so that may include things like, did someone pass away on the property? Buyers may be weirded out by that, but that's something as a listing agent we don't see. Oh yeah, there was actually a violent crime that took place in this property. Oh yeah, there was an elderly person that lived here who passed away in that rocking chair right there. We can't do that, and we don't want to do that because that's going to hurt our sellers, hurt the property. So we're not allowed to do that unless we're given written permission from the seller. Yeah, it's okay if you tell them about this issue with the property. Only disclose things that we're legally obligated to. Those are part of the duties. Managing broker may get involved. If there's any issues, they have to keep things confidential. So they can't just go say, well, I don't have an agency agreement, so I'm just going to go blab to everyone in the office. They can't do that. Understanding that the agent may be working with other people, the agent or broker may be working with other people simultaneously, that they're working with you as a seller. They're not obligated to take other offers if already under contract, but I always recommend if you can get a backup offer, it's good security, it's good leverage. Maybe that offer is as good or better than the one that's currently in place. Well, then if the current offer, the people start being ridiculous through inspections or different things like that, you can, kind of say, hey, we already have an offer in place that's matching or beating this one. So if you guys want to keep moving forward, you're not going to ask for anything and everything under the sun. So just something to think about. The broker, they're not going to maintain the property. They're not going to mow the lawn. They're not going to do their own inspection. They're not required to go research the buyer's financials outside of what they're being told. So they don't become the all-encompassing take care of the property. That still has to be maintained by the owner. And then, as I said, that bottom one there, they need to get permission to disclose if there's any other offers. I would always recommend that as a seller. If a buyer comes and they're making an offer and thinking they're the only offer, or now all of a sudden, no, we have 3 other offers in place. Ooh, well, my offer as a buyer, if I really want the property, now got a lot better. They're likely going to bring their highest and best right from the get-go, which is good for you as a seller. Now, additional duties that only the agent has. So this is where I think agency is the best, because this is, if you're a professional and doing your job and getting paid to do this, it seems like these are things you should be doing anyways. But if you're a transaction broker, you can't do this because you can't, be a coach for both sides, as we talked about. So an agent, they're going to show loyalty. They're loyal to one side. I'm loyal to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. They're going to have fidelity, good faith. In transaction broker, they can't be loyal to both sides. Yeah, you're both the teams I'm cheering for. That doesn't make sense. They're going to seek price and terms acceptable to the seller. Again, they're going to negotiate and counsel and help you to get the best offer. Whereas a transaction broker just says, well, what's your offer? Here's their offer. Okay, tell me what you're going to do, and I'll tell it to them. They're not advising or counseling or really coaching up the one side. So again, think of a coach. Hey, here's how, we're going to get this ball in the end zone, or here's how we're going to get, the ball in the hoop, or here's how we're going to win the game. That's what, an agent provides on top of the duties that the broker and agent share. So that's one thing you want to consider is how's you going to be represented, transaction broker or a seller's agent. And then some other things to consider as a seller. It's that awkward phase of we're trying to sell our home. We still live in here. We still own it, obviously, but people are going to be coming in. There may be open houses. There may be a lot of buyers coming through. If you go under contract, there's going to be an appraiser. There's going to be an inspector. There's going to be all these different people coming into the property. So you need to think about that beforehand. Are you going to allow the property to go on the MLS? I would highly recommend that, because people need to know it's for sale in order to get in and see it and make an offer. Once it's on the MLS, it gets shared to all of the different websites that you've heard of: Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. It gets automatically sent out to that. And then once it's out there, it's nearly impossible to get back. So think about some of these things beforehand. Maybe you have a really young child. I don't want their bedroom photographed, or I don't want it in, the video tour, anything like that. Let everyone know right up front, because let's say you do get a picture of the bedroom, it gets shared out. Then you say, oh, I didn't realize that was on there. I didn't even think about that. I want it taken down. Once it's out on the internet, it's going to be hard to get it back. You can take it off the MLS, but it's already on all of those hundreds of websites, probably on social media, probably been shared. So to track down all of those photos and get them removed is nearly impossible. So if you don't want something out there, make sure you outline that up front. And then who's going to have access to the property? Do we want other, how are they going to get in? Is it going to be an electric box, manual lock box? How are they going to get keys to access the property? We need to figure that out. And then who are we going to let in? Are we going to have other licensed real estate brokers? I think that's probably a good idea because they're going to be bringing in the buyers, and that's good for us as a seller. Licensed appraisers, if they're getting a loan and they need an appraisal, we probably need to allow an appraiser to get in there. Unlicensed broker assistants, that may be one where you say, no, I want the actual buyer's agent or buyer's broker to be the one that accompanies them on the property. Or you can even have your listing agent be required to be present at all showings. It just depends on what you're comfortable with and what you're willing to do. Again, it's still your property. It's private property, and you have a right to say who can get in, when can they get in, how long can they be in there. So those are things you need to think of. Do we want unlicensed inspectors? All inspectors in Colorado are unlicensed. There is no licensure for being an inspector. So probably a good idea that we want them. Again, hopefully the agent on the other side or the listing agent will be there during the inspection. We don't want to just ever open a home, prop the door open, and then leave. That's not good. And then maybe photographers, maybe a videographer, maybe a staging company. We're going to allow them to get in, but we want to outline all of that. Again, you never want to assume, I assume the seller was okay with it, or I assume the listing agent was doing this. We want to have everything in writing. And then also another big thing we want to consider is the price and terms. What are we going to sell the home for? What are we going to accept for an offer? Cash? No one ever gets upset at a cash offer. Conventional loan, FHA, VA, or FHA and VA loans, even possible in this area, or the property, the condition of the property may affect the availability of different loans. So those are things you want to kind of consider and talk about before you go on the market. You hate to get a full price offer for a loan type and then realize, oh, this loan type won't even work for this property. Now that deal's not going to work out. Is there any closing costs that are going to be paid? Loan discount points? How are you going to take your proceeds? Is it going to be a cashier's check? Is it going to be a wire transfer? Again, talk with your bank about those because there may be some different timelines. If it's a cashier's check, it may take a little bit longer than if it's a wire transfer. A wire transfer may cost money to do, whereas a cashier's check doesn't. It just depends. So talk with your bank exactly what that looks like and which one is best for you, and how quickly do you need access to the funds, where you're going to keep the funds. Again, think about all these things beforehand and get it in writing. FIRPTA, that deals with foreign internationals. So if you're not a U.S. citizen, you're a foreign investor or whatever, you own this property you're selling, you need to disclose that to the listing agent. You also need to disclose it to any potential buyers because there's a lot of tax consequences that go with that. And, if you don't pay it, then it falls on the buyer and it can just make a deal really, really messy. So you need to disclose that, yes, you are, or if you're not, you just leave that box blank and move forward. If you're not a Colorado resident, then there may be some extra withholdings that you need to, again, talk with your tax professional about. What does this mean? I live in Wyoming, but I'm selling a Colorado property. What does that mean for me come tax season? Hope this was informative, you guys. Again, the listing agreement, there's a lot to it, so talk through everything, make sure it makes sense. How long is it going to be for? How are we going to be represented? What are the terms and prices that we're going to look at? Who are we going to allow into the property? All of those things are very, very important. Hope you guys have a good day. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.